New legislation in Montgomery County ends a moratorium on construction of new residential buildings in areas where schools are overcrowded. But could this do more harm than good? Let's bring in Adian Daytil right now. And Adian, what areas of the county are we talking about with this new legislation, and who stands to benefit from these new residential units?
Solid question, Bruce. And the entire county is impacted by this legislation and its impact on funding for schools. Get this, data from Montgomery County Public Schools shows that 28% of schools are affected by overcrowding in the district. Now, before I get into what the new legislation does, it's important to understand why the previous moratorium was in place.
The goal was that when our schools started having crowding issues and were past a certain point of capacity, and there would be a moratorium put in place on new development for a year within that area where the school is located, or until the problem is resolved.
But according to Will Jawando, at-large council member for the Montgomery County Council, and Andrew Friedson, council member for District 1, the residential building moratorium didn't solve the school overcrowding problem it was meant to address. Instead, they say,
it deprives the county necessarily of the resource it needs to address the school overcrowding it's intending to resolve.
Under the new legislation, which was passed unanimously on Monday, all areas in the county are labeled as either turnover or infill, which indicates how many students that type of housing typically generates.
Turnover is basically where there's less density and there's more single-family homes, because infill is right around the urban centers. So the White Flint, Rockville, downtown Silver Spring.
Townhomes generate the most number of students, which makes sense, right? Young families tend to move to townhouses. Those are people who, tend to have younger school-age kids, and so those rates are the highest. Single-family homes are second highest, and multifamily are significantly lower than that.
In addition to revenue brought in through school taxes, any new residential construction projects filed after January 1st, 2021 will be subject to utilization premium payments, or UPPs, which will be paid by the development company.
And those are a premium above the cost of the impact of a student. It's a premium payment, an extra fee when you are building in an area that has existing overcrowded schools. And that premium payment will drive additional funding for schools in the clusters where the overcrowding is currently taking place.
The new legislation is projected to bring in less revenue for schools than the current tax structure, but exactly how much less depends on who you ask.
The county council staff estimated $11 million. County executive OMB estimated $20 million a year in lost revenue to our schools and our transportation infrastructure as a result of the changes in this policy.
Another issue brought up by both council members was state funding for the schools. They say that Montgomery County generally accounts for 18 to 19% of the total student enrollment in the state of Maryland, but they only receive about 13% of school construction funds, Bruce, from the state. Now, the council is asking that the state government approve the Build to Learn Act, which addresses that disparity and hopefully, Bruce, provides more resources to help correct the overcrowding that's currently happening in schools.
All right, Jan, good story. Thanks a lot for that. Let's